My name is Hilary Ritt, and I am the Workforce and Adult Services Consultant at KDLA. I'm so glad to have y'all here today for this webinar, Adult Education in Your Library, Examples of Successful Partnerships. If you have any kind of technical support needs, you can reach out in the chat. Tricia and Alicia and Sarah from our Continuing Education Department are all here and can be able to assist you as needed. The materials that are available, slides and so forth, will be available in your Blackboard Learn window. And today's webinar is being recorded. That recording will be available sometime in the next week or so. Captions are available a couple of ways today. You can click at the top of your screen to see the captions with Blackboard, or you can use the stream text link that is going to be put in the chat. And I want to briefly introduce our speakers. So we have Summer Morgan. She is the Director of Outreach and Strategic Partnerships with the Office of Adult Education. Keri Burton is Adult Programming Librarian, Taylor County Public Library. Melanie Warga is the Library Director at the Ohio County Public Library. And we will also hear from Michael Richter, Library Director at the Bath County Memorial Library. So without further ado, I'm going to share Summer's slides and let her begin her presentation.
Great, thank you, Hilary. As Hilary mentioned, I'm Summer Morgan, Director of Outreach and Strategic Partnerships at the Office of Adult Education. I just want to give you guys a quick overview of the services we provide and the supports that we provide at the state level, which will lead into some of our successful partnerships with local libraries. Just a quick little FYI, some of you all may already be aware of this, but in the state of Kentucky, we have approximately 4.5 million people who live in the state of Kentucky. Of those 4.5 million people, approximately 2.7 million are considered working age adults, which working age is between the age of 18 and 64. The Office of Adult Education can actually serve any working age adult, age 18 to 64, with any type of literacy deficiency. So I do want to make it clear up front. I'll talk a little bit about it later on down the slides, but I do want to make it clear that we can serve adults who actually have a high school equivalency. So if they do have a high school diploma, we can still serve them. So I think that is a common myth that you've probably heard throughout the years, but I do want to debunk that. So we can serve approximately 2.7 million people in the state of Kentucky because that is considered working age. Of those 2.7 million, approximately 290,000 adults in the state of Kentucky lack a high school equivalency. So they lack a high school diploma or a GED. So obviously that's a big target for us because a large part of what we do at the Office of Adult Education and our local adult education centers is support individuals who are going through the GED process. So just wanted to kind of paint the landscape for you as to the population that we serve in the state of Kentucky through the Office of Adult Education. In order to be served through, as I mentioned, the Office of Adult Education, the federal requirement says that they have to have attained 16 years of age and is not enrolled or required to be enrolled in secondary school under the state law. So Kentucky's law oversees the federal law because in the state of Kentucky, the compulsory school attendance age is 18 years of age per KRS 159.010, which basically means that they have to be 18 years old in order for us to serve them. So if someone is supposed to be in high school, we cannot serve that individual at the Office of Adult Education. We don't want to encourage them to drop out and go the alternative route. They also too must be basic skills deficient, and we determine that by what we call a test of adult basic education. So we will call it's a TAPE test that we will take a look at their scores there and determine if they are basic skills deficient, and that also helps us cater curriculum to help serve that individual. They do not have a secondary diploma or its recognized equivalent and has not achieved an equivalent level of education. We can serve those individuals as well, and it's also an English language learner. So those are the individuals that we can serve. So those three, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Our mission at the Office of Adult Education is to work with Kentuckians to improve their quality of life through education, training, and employment. so they can take care of themselves and their families and help their communities and states' economies expand and thrive. So not only are we here to help the economy in the state of Kentucky and the workforce, but we're also here to help that individual be able to support their family. So it's a very, very rewarding job, one that I am very proud to be a part of. And if you're like me, I like understanding structure and how things operate. So this might give you a little bit of an idea of our funding source. The Office of Career Technical and Adult Education, we call them OCTAs at the federal level. So they oversee the funding source and the parameters of that. That funding comes down to the state of Kentucky. The state of Kentucky has delegated that funding to the Education and Labor Cabinet, in which the Office of Adult Education is located. And then from there, we actually subgrant out to 26 different fiscal agents. So the Office of Adult Education doesn't actually provide the service, the direct service to the adult students. Those are our 26 fiscal agents that are located throughout the state who provide that direct service. And this is a makeup of what those consortiums look like. So this map is probably a little bit confusing to you. And this is really based on the American Community Survey data and an RFA process. So each of our fiscal agents bid each year on or not each year, but it's a 3-year grant cycle on each county, and a little bit too in the weeds, but just so you know, that's why it's a little convoluted here. So we have 14 of our fiscal agents are KCTCS, the Kentucky Community and Technical College Systems. So we have 14 of adult education centers on KCTCS campuses statewide, so you'll see a list listed there. 1 4-year university is a fiscal agent, which is Morehead State University. And then we have education cooperatives and boards of education. So for instance, Jefferson County Board of Education, Jefferson County Public Schools is the fiscal agent that serves Jefferson County there in Louisville. Jessamine County Board of Ed is another example. And they service a couple of different counties. So just so you guys know, like I said, the fiscal breakdown of that. But as you see, amongst those 26 fiscal agents, we serve all 120 counties. Some of those are connection points, which this is where our public libraries come into play. And you'll get some good examples of that a little bit later. This is just a list of how the Office of Adult Education supports in our different branches in the Office of Adult Education. As I mentioned, there are more services besides the GED instruction that's provided at each adult education center. So adult basic education is provided, family literacy, and this is again another good way that local libraries can be good partners with their local adult ed center. GED attainment and transition to post-secondary education and training. You may know someone who has a high school diploma, but it's been many, many years since they have been in an educational setting, and they're now looking to transition to post-secondary. So maybe they lack math skills or English language skills. That's something the Office of local adult education providers can do, is help them upskill so they are prepared to transition to post-secondary. English as a second language and citizenship. This is a large part of what we do. Assists with the immigration process and then the English language learners. So we do provide English as a second language courses and then help them understand the American system of government through that citizenship course. We're also in the correction settings, and I think we have a good example coming up here of one of our partners who has assisted us in this process. So adult education is in the Department of Corrections, which are your state prisons, and they're also in your local county jails. We provide GED instruction inside those settings, and then also some of the other services that you saw listed on a previous slide. Ways in which our local libraries have helped us and have partnered with us in this setting is by providing GED testing centers at some of the public libraries. So inmates sometimes are transported for the testing, and I know that's all obviously dependent upon what you guys have set up there. So again, just to give you an idea, that's one of the other services that we do provide. I just wanted to show, put some faces to adult education. These are 3 success stories that we like to talk about. We have Maria, Daniello, and Shengjia. Each of these individuals had some challenges through traditional high school and they went to their local adult education center and were assisted through the GED process. Maria's story, she was bullied, ended up dropping out of high school and was able to get her GED through adult education. Now she's doing wonderful things in her community. Daniela and Shangjia actually went through the English as a Second Language courses, earned their GED, and Daniela has transitioned to post-secondary and is working towards a degree in engineering. And again, Shangjia earned her GED and has been a great example for her family. I'm not going to go into depth about these, but just so you know, adult basic education, here's a list of things that are included in adult basic education. English as a second language, just some things there. Family literacy, we want to make sure that the parent can be a part of the student's journey when it comes to education. So being able to help them with homework, reading to the student. We realize how impactful that is. And again, I think that's a perfect connect between the public library and adult education. Parent and child together time is also very important. And I know that these summer reading programs are a good opportunity for those programs to complement one another. We also have, not to go too much into the weeds, but integrated education and training, or what we call IET programs. They're developed in conjunction with a trading partner. So for instance, if an individual is interested in earning their CDL, their certified driver's license, maybe they are having a hard time reading the manuals. So adult education can assist them with the reading portion of it to help them obtain that particular training credential. Workplace literacy is where we partner with businesses. So we have partnerships with a few manufacturing companies in Louisville and throughout the state, where we come in and we provide literacy support. So for instance, at Amazon, their English as a second language population needed assistance learning how to read simple instructions in English because obviously it's a safety hazard. It helps with productivity. So our adult education provider came in and assisted those individuals to learn the language and to learn the manuals to increase productivity and to make sure that they are safe on the job. As I mentioned, we partner with businesses. Here's one of our partner spotlights. We see here the Lieutenant Governor showed up to our Adult Ed and Family Literacy Week celebration, and we celebrated Kentucky KCC companies. They have like a very large English as a second language population, and our Jefferson County Public Schools Adult Education Center came in and they assisted these individuals. And this is the owner and his right-hand man. As you see here, they're very supportive of these programs. They've seen morale has increased as well as performance evaluations and productivity. So just a good example of how adult education can support the workforce. We also have partnerships with Toyo Tetsu, Anderson Commercial Cleaning. They do financial literacy. Those are some things that we can do in adult education as well. And then we have a great partnership with Goodwill on two different aspects. Number one is their Work and Learn program, where they provide funding for Goodwill employees to pursue an education. So in this instance, if an individual goes to classes to earn their GED, they get paid, I think, $10 an hour for each hour that they are attending those classes. They also have opportunity centers throughout the state. I think they have 13 or 14 opportunity centers, and these are individuals, citizens who walk in needing support services to help them get on their feet and to find a job or a better education. All right, so that's just kind of a quick overview of the Office of Adult Education and Kentucky Adult Education. I think we'll probably take questions at the end, so I'm going to turn it over to our next presenter. And if you guys have questions, here's my contact information. So summer.morgan@ky.gov. You're welcome to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to fill those questions in.
And those slides will be available. So I was switching quickly, but those slides will be available. And I'll switch over to Melanie now.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Melanie, thank you so much.
All right, sure, no, thanks for having me. I'm going to kind of cover Some of my slides are going to be a little combination of what Summer has already said, some of the things that we offer at the library, but that's okay. If you have any questions for me, I'm sure you can answer that at the end. But my name is Melanie. I'm the director of the Ohio County Public Library in Hartford, Kentucky. And we have been a partner with OCTC, which is Owensboro Community and Technical College. We have been a partner with them for, well, since 2017. It started when a library patron who was a very faithful patron came and talked to our director, and she actually was the adult education officer through OCTC for our area, and she wanted to see if we couldn't partner with them and do some things with OCTC. So it really just kind of fell into our lap, which was fantastic for us. When we first began, it was a trial, kind of a let's see how this plays out. We offered it at our library for 4-hour blocks, one time per week, and that eventually evolved to where we are now. Now we are hosting OCTC at our library annex, which is our building located directly across the street from our main library. They are here 3 days a week, 7 hours a day, and that is our trial period right now. They are hoping to expand to be able to be here 5 days a week. But we've started off with 3 days a week to see how that goes. And our numbers are really starting to pick up. So eventually we might be able to expand that to that 5 days a week. As Summer has already said, OCTC offers the same services that she listed. They offer literacy skills, employment skills. GED has been the primary focus that we have seen in Ohio County. We do serve a lot of population that don't have a high school diploma. So having that availability here in the county, transportation is an issue. Ohio County is one of the largest counties in Kentucky geographically. So being able to have something located centrally in Ohio County where patrons don't have to drive to Owensboro or Bowling Green or a larger city has really been a tremendous help to us and to those in our community. We have a growing immigrant population here in the county due to some different factors like factories and things here in our county. So because of that, we have seen a growth in our English language learners as well. So being able to provide that service, that has really picked up at OCTC here in the county. That's been phenomenal. We don't really have anything else in our county to fill that void. So OCTC has been a huge support to us to be able to offer not only GED, but those ELL classes as well. Our library is located next door to our county jail. So probation and parole students are a big part of that as well. We have a lot of probation and parole students that are able to come to our library, to OCTC for their GED training, the skill set to be able to get their skills brushed up to go back into the workforce, and that has been a huge part of it as well. We have a local homeless shelter that was just started a couple of years ago, and they have started providing, just this year, they have started providing transportation to and from OCTCs here at the library. So they are able to bring them from the homeless shelter to our library to utilize our services and also adult education, and then to be able to take them back to the shelter. And that has been phenomenal because that was something they would not have had access to were it not for the homeless shelter providing it, and certainly not if it were not in our area. If it were anywhere other than our library, I don't think they would be able to access that. And then we do cater, they've always told us to cater to those 19 and older to make sure that we don't run into any of those that should technically, as Summer listed, still be in high school. So our role in this, as I said, we provide a room. Now we started off just providing a small study space because they were only here for 4 hours. But as it has evolved, we have actually set up a classroom at our library annex. We provide the desks and chairs that they use, or we just have tables, but we've provided the tables and chairs and all the furniture that you see. They actually provided the smartboard. OCTC came and set that up, and they brought their own laptops. We just provided a secure case for them. They work with us on if there's something that we think would be beneficial to the library for their classroom, such as the smart board, then they have been really great about partnering with us to help share those costs or even provide that for our space since they're utilizing it. We do provide advertising for them on all of our regular platforms. We're on just about every social media platform available, as well as printing all of our own calendars and advertisements and things in-house. So we always include OCTC as part of our advertising and really try to promote those services that they have, as well as on our website. And then anytime they get new students in, they provide them with a welcome packet. And they have worked really closely with us to be able to provide information. As we provide information to our patrons about them, then they also in turn provide information to their students about the services that the library offers. So those new patron packets will have our calendar, they'll have our new patron brochure, they'll have library card applications, and any information about the library, such as Hoopla, Libby, any of those type of services that they might benefit from while they're using our library, and especially while they're in the building. So some of our stats, I think this is very impressive. I talked to Michelle. She is our OCTC person. So I talked to Michelle and she gave me these stats. I apologize, we don't have stats from 2017 and 2018, but we have had a consistent number of students enrolled each year. And then you'll see that we have also had a great deal of those students be able to get their GED. So I think that's really cool. I was very impressed by those numbers, that through something, the only thing that we are having to do is give them a room. And because of that partnership, we are able to see that many people's lives changed. So I've been very blown away by those statistics. So I really wanted to share those. And last but not least, what we have learned through this partnership is the best thing that we have done is really build a relationship with OCTC. I meet with the director. His name is Dr. Ryan Hall. He's been fantastic to work with. Michelle and I meet regularly, trying to see what works for them, what doesn't work, what works for us, what doesn't work, how we can make this the best possible partnership that we can. So building that relationship with them is, in my opinion, paramount. You really have to have that to be able to work together. Be proactive about it, but also be flexible in your scheduling and working with them, because inevitably things are out of our control sometimes, but we try to be really flexible and work with what their schedule is, not just what our schedule is. And above all, remember those numbers, remember the impact that you are having in your community, because so many of these people that we have been able to assist through this program would not have been able to reach this, would not have been able to reach their goals were it not for us offering that space to them. So that's the number one thing that we want to be able to take away from this, is the impact that we have had in our community through this partnership. So thanks.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie.
All right, I'm gonna get our next presenter, Keri's slides up here. And thank you so much, Melanie. And here we go, Keri.
Thank you, Hilary. Hello, my name is Keri Burton. I am the adult programming librarian at Taylor County Public Library in Campbellsville, Kentucky. Today I'm going to be talking about the partnership between my library and the Taylor County Adult Learning Center. So Taylor County Public Library, or TCPL for short, started collaborating with the Taylor County Adult Learning Center in 2022 by providing ESL classes to meet the needs of a growing community whose first language is not English. Taylor County is the home of Campbellsville University, where several international students attend school. According to the U.S. News Report and World Report in 2018, Campbellsville University had the 6th most international students in the South. TCPL is located in a rural area of South Central Kentucky, and even though the county is small, it does experience steady annual growth in population and economic development. This area is also home to several businesses that employ immigrants and non-English speaking people or English language learners. TCPL is a centrally located hub to the whole community, especially to people who may feel isolated due to language and cultural barriers. So Midge Hunt, she is the ESL and family literacy instructor at the Taylor County Adult Learning Center. She leads the ESL classes. The group meets weekly for 60-minute sessions, and the class is open to all levels of English language learners. When the Adult Learning Center approached TCPL about offering ESL classes, they proposed using the space at the library and needed a platform to reach out to the community. TCPL offered the library's community room as a place for the group to meet, and that is where the ESL classes were held, at least until the library needed to close temporarily due to having repairs done on the roof. During the closure, the group decided to move the class meetings to the Kentucky Career Center, where Midge's office is located. Another way that TCPL stays involved with the ESL class and the Adult Learning Center is by providing promotional and informational material across the TCPL's website and the social media platforms. The library, we also provide learning materials in our catalog and in class support. And then soon after we began our partnership with the Adult Learning Center, I applied for and received an English language learning grant that was offered through the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. This grant allowed us to expand and grow our ESL program. The grant also provided a way to secure resources and learning tools to be used in the ESL classroom. These materials included ESL books and games, vocabulary building flashcards, a language translator device, a laptop with access to Rosetta Stone, and they also paid for my TEFL, TESOL certification. And as TCPL and the Adult Learning Center continue to collaborate in offering ESL classes, we have learned some best practices that have worked for us. So we've learned that we need to be proactive in reaching out to the ELL community. Most people who attend our ESL classes, we've had to approach them to make them aware that the ESL classes are being offered free to them. Do not rely solely on advertising or flyers. Find the locations of any local ELL communities or places of businesses that employ English language learners and take that first step to initiate contact. And be culturally aware. Get to know your ELL community and students. Many English language learners come from outside the U.S. and have diverse backgrounds, religions, and cultural practices. It is important to create an inclusive and safe learning atmosphere that shows an appreciation of diversity. Patience. Having patience is key to getting ELL community members to join ESL and ELL classes. Some people require time and trust before they will attend a class or a program. Having patience inside the classroom is also important. ESL, ELL teachers should make the conscious decision to deliberately slow down things and allow students to take their time. And cultivate relationships. This goes hand in hand with being proactive in your outreach. Members of the ELL community can be hard to reach and may not be very trusting. They may feel uncomfortable or unsafe going to unknown locations or speaking to strangers. So reach out to community partners and local organizations and businesses to help foster relationships between them and the ELL community. Also, research and utilize the resources being offered by entities such as KDLA and the ALA, look for grants and resources and programs that can help your program grow. And don't get discouraged. Depending on your area, your program may not be very big, or it may not attract a lot of people, but it is important to offer these educational opportunities and to continue your efforts in expanding and growing the programs. I strongly encourage all libraries to partner with their local adult learning center to offer programs and educational opportunities to your communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keri. And now I'm going to share a presentation from Michael Richter, Director of the Bath County Memorial Library.
Hi, my name is Michael Richter. I'm with the Bath County Memorial Library, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our GED program, our GED testing program. Why do we do the GED tests here? It started in 2018. We saw access to economic opportunity as a major goal as part of our strategic plan. The local percentage of adults in our county and community without a high school diploma or GED is roughly 20%. It has stayed that way for at least a decade. And that number is lower than the rest of the state as a whole. The number of college degrees are also lower. We have about 12.1% college degrees lower than the rest of the state, and that's just here in the county. One of the things that's important to know is that the amount of people in your community that have a high school degree or a high school diploma, it roughly correlates with the poverty rate. At least here it does, and it seems to run that way in a lot of different places around the state. Here we have about a 20% poverty rate. We also have about a 20% amount of adults without their GED. So you may be asking yourself, where is Bath County? I've never heard of this place. And you would not be the first person to say that. Bath County is about 45 minutes east of Lexington. We're right along I-64. The Owensville Library is 2 miles from the interstate, so it's a very easy access to the library from the interstate. And that's one of the reasons that people come to us. We're here for our community, which I've already said, we have a lot of people in our community who need to take the test. And we have a good time. All the time we're open, we're available for testing. So nearly all of our open hours are testable hours. And we only have a single room, which means that people are able to come here. They don't have to sit in a room with other testers. They don't have people who are watching them. They don't have to worry about that kind of anxiety. Where do the testers come from? Well, as I said, Eastern Kentucky, Boyd County, Carter County, Round County, Menifee County, Clark County, Estill County, Montgomery County, Fleming County, Powell County, and we've had testers from Elliott and Morgan as well, but it's a lot less. But as you can see, we have testers from pretty much all over the eastern side of the state. Something to be really aware of if you are doing testing or as you're doing testing is that prisoners take the GED test. And we have prisoners from Boyd County, pardon me, the Juvenile Detention Center, the Powell County Jail, and the Montgomery County Jail regularly coming here to take their GED tests. Because we offer a safe location. We have a room that has good visibility. sheriff's deputies and corrections officers can sit right there and watch their charges. And we also offer a separate kind of a side entrance, so they can come right in on the side entrance, take the test. You know, they're in one room, they're seen the entire time, and that's a really good thing. The process for GED Center certification is one that we went through in 2017 before the pandemic. We started it then, and then we continued. And we had to clear out a room. We had to do all the work for it. It took quite a while, but eventually it was worth it. We had to have pictures of everything and documents of everything, which, as you can see, it gets to be a little overkill at some point, but you just keep working on it. Eventually you get there. Our test room is an old office. It's a singular room. There's nothing in there. It's very spare. Here at the library, all of our staff who work at the circulation desk are certified to administer the test. It's a work requirement. That means we can have testing anytime we're open, and that's a real win for us. The tests we do about 10 to 15 tests a month. Some weeks we'll have up to 10 or 15 tests in a single week, which is quite a bit. The time requirements are only about 5 minutes for entering people into the room and monitoring the tester via a video feed. It's fairly easy. We do have problems. Tech is tech, and it fails. So you need to have IT people available, and people are people. I've had people unplug the computer. I've accidentally unplugged the computer. It happens regularly. And people cheat. I'm going to talk about that because we've recently had a little bit of an issue with that. It occurs quite a bit. Pearson does have regular information about cheating tactics and how to spot them. But during our last training day, we actually had a catch the cheater exercise. And staff were paired up and given a cheating tactic, and they were given a prize, a small prize, just a candy bar, if they caught their cheater. I didn't catch my person, but they caught me. So it works out fairly well. And people will come in, they will use their cell phones. It's pretty much the only method we have actually seen. We've seen cell phones hidden in shoes, bras, underwears, up sleeve, in armpits, pretty much anywhere you can imagine. And they are generally aware of what they're doing. We heard one cheater getting pings off their test. During their test, we couldn't quite figure out what we were hearing. And so we watched the video until we finally saw a video screen with them reading their cell phone. But they had been actually texting and receiving text. So it does happen. It's something to be aware of. And we ask folks, what were you thinking? And they tell us all their sad stories. I have to check on my kids, or this person was sick, or I had an important phone call. Thankfully, most of the time they admit the fact that they weren't supposed to be using that cell phone, and they walk away fairly easily. We do have to do written reports about cheating, and that we put a case on the Pearson site. So it does occur. It is something to be aware of. It's something to be aware of as far as a safety concern. Luckily, our library is right across the street from the sheriff's department, so that is an easier thing for us. Overall, the benefits for having a testing center far outweigh the costs. The public loves to know that we're actually doing something. They think it's the best thing since sliced bananas here. Politicians love it. And the library stakeholders all see it as a positive thing. There are some costs. You may need to update your technology or have the time to service test administrators or in some staff training, but overall it is well worth the time and effort to do. If you have any questions, my name is Michael Richter. I'm the director here at the Bath County Memorial Library, and my contact information is right there for you. Thank you very much.
So thank you all. I think we may have some questions in the chat so I see Lisa has asked outreach with Rhonda, excuse me, from our adult learning facility promote both entities. How did you open that door to be able to provide classes, and who pays the instructor? Great question. And I think, Lisa, I'm going to assume that was for any of the presenters, maybe Melanie or Summer, but Keri could also chime in.
Hey, it's Keri. So with us, Midge is the one who teaches the ESL classes. So she works through the Adult Learning Center. So we just, our organizations partner together.
Yeah, and I will say, just to clarify, adult education services are free. So there is no charge to you as a library or to the student for adult ed. As you saw earlier, we receive state and federal funding to support those efforts. And so yeah, we would be happy to come on site and provide those services as opposed to someone from the library providing that service. So rely on us in adult education to provide the instruction that you're looking for to provide at your public library. I'm not sure if this is, the proctor that was mentioned in Bath County. That's something that I will say that is a conflict of interest, or that's a good question with the administrator of the testing. They are paid hourly, so there would be a cost absorbed there. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone from your library that proctors, but that I think would be ideal, to set the scheduling and that sort of thing. Our local adult education providers are prohibited from being a proctor because they instruct the exam. So that's a conflict of interest. So that would be something that maybe Hilary or someone else from KDLA or a public library might be able to help navigate there, is the cost for the administrator for the GED test. The other thing I will say, that if you become a Pearson VUE testing center, you can not only test for the GED, but there are other Pearson VUE certified tests. So that opens up your library to other testing options and brings more patrons into the library as well.
Did that answer your question, Lisa? And Lisa, I put in the chat too how you can find your local adult education provider. I don't know, since and what county you're in, if it would be BCTC but I can connect you with Summer or somebody to get you the specific connection point, if that would be helpful. And then got one, how to be connected with local businesses who want to hire someone, but does library offer specific resource job fair for them? We have actually, I think at least 2 of the libraries represented here have offered, or one of the libraries represented here, and then several in the chat or attendees have offered job fairs, either through our job fair week that we do during National Library Week, but we also have libraries offer job fairs during the year. But you can also work with your local Kentucky Career Center and coordinate something with them, or at least be aware of the job fairs that are in your area, so that you can let your library patrons know about that. What other questions you all have? I actually have a question for Summer. How can a library become a connection point? And what would a connection point look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would think the first step to becoming a connection point would be to reach out to the adult education center that serves the county that you're in. And that link that you put in the chat, Hilary, is a good way to find a point of contact. So whatever county your public library is in, select the county and you will have a contact person pop up. Reach out to that individual and let them know that you are interested in becoming a connection point, and they can help you through that process. And basically it could be a variety of, a connection point is very broad in its definition. It could be that you're providing a service on site. So if you want to provide GED testing, GED instruction courses on site, then maybe one of the adult education providers can come to your library and you have a classroom ready and they can serve patrons there, or ELL. Or it could be as little as someone walks in the door and says, I'm interested in getting my GED, or I need English language classes. Then you say, I have some information for you, or here's a contact person. So again, it could be as big as providing on-site classes, or it could be as small as just knowing information about adult education and being able to refer an individual to their closest adult education center. But I would start with that link that Hilary put in the chat to find the service provider in your region.
And Tricia's just put a reminder in the chat about materials from today, the presenters' information, and I'm going to drop that in the chat here shortly. But for those who did present today, and you talked about barriers or any kind of things that when you reached out or that connection started, it sounds like it could have been a process. So I guess it doesn't necessarily happen all at once when that relationship starts. It could be little bit at a time, and then it could grow into something more. So would you all touch on that a little bit more, any of our presenters, if that makes sense?
Hey, this is Keri. So yeah, I would like to touch on that. In our area, we do have pockets of communities of English language learners, and they are varied in nationality, ethnicity, different languages. And some of them are very hesitant to speak to people outside of their little hubs. Sometimes it takes months to build and foster a relationship for them to trust you. They are leery of government or official places and people. They feel like they're kind of being threatened whenever you approach them, but at the same time, you really want to try to get that information to them and just reiterate that we are a resource for them to utilize, and that we don't really pressure for personal information or documentation or anything like that. Once they are comfortable with that and begin to trust you, they will start to attend, and then it just takes one or two for them to be able to come back to their community or their hub and spread that information, and it really tends to grow after that.
Thank you, Keri. If anybody else wants to talk about just, I think Melanie touched on this a little bit in her presentation about how it started out one with a room and then just, yeah. So if anything else, anybody else would like to say that, I just want to thank our presenters again too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is Melanie. We did start off very small. We just offered one room, kind of like I said, a trial period to see how things were going to go. And the more that we were able to publicize it, the more we were able to work build that relationship, it really grew, and we realized the need to expand that into eventually offering them their own space in our library and being able to provide that. So yeah, it just took a lot of time. It took us a year or two before we were able to get our feet wet, so to speak, and really bond and have that partnership. But it was well worth it, even though it took a little bit of time. The time and effort were well worth it in the end.
Thank you, Melanie. Well, feel free to keep asking questions. I'm actually going to put our thank you slide to the Institute for Museum and Library Services up because they sponsored today's webinar, and they sponsor a lot of the services that KDLA is able to offer, including the grant that Keri and her library received. So I want to thank you all for attending. Please feel free to continue asking questions, and we will again make the slides and so forth available in your learning portal. Certificates of attendance will be available, and again, this is recorded. I'm just so delighted. I want to thank Melanie, Keri, and Michael for participating, and Summer for participating in today's webinar and for sharing information with all of us. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any of the presenters if they would be open to that. And I'm going to drop my email in the chat as well in case you all have questions that you want to follow up with me or later.